Hi everybody and welcome to the deep dive, and in today's dive we're going to be looking at each part of a dive mask and what all of the things mean so that you know a little bit more about them and what's important to look for when buying a scuba diving mask. So the first thing to think about at a dive mask is the glass lens on the front. There are a few different styles and we usually name them for the number of lenses they have. Single lens masks have a single piece of glass that covers both eyes and the bridge over your nose connecting it. You don't tend to find those huge round pearl diver masks anymore. Most single lens masks are a bit more sensible size and they're physically shaped for a good field of vision. Twin lens masks have two opposing lenses, one over each eye, with a bridge in the middle. Any more like 3 and 4 lens masks, they just add some peripheral view on your sides, so you have a side window that lets you see either side a little bit more and, you know, kind of see your buddy beside you a little bit easier. I do quite like a mask with side windows. It kind of opens up your field of view, but make sure that the lenses are made from flat glass. Curved glass lenses become magnifying lenses underwater, so it's like staring through someone else's glasses with a really strong prescription, so it will start to hurt your eyes after a while. So stick with flat lenses. Also stick with tempered glass lenses. Most diving masks use tempered glass lenses anyway, but you can find some cheaper masks that are more designed for swimming that just have plastic lenses. The amount that we actually use our masks, the plastic lenses will just scratch and they'll get knackered really quickly, so just stick with tempered glass lenses. It's safer too if they ever get broken. You can tell if a mask has tempered lenses because it will have a small letter T on the lens or literally the word tempered written on it. You also have different grades of tempered glass though. If you look at the edge of a standard tempered glass lens, it will have that kind of bluish green tint to it. That's all of the impurities in the glass affecting the color of the light as it passes through. More expensive masks will have optical grade lenses with fewer impurities, so they let a purer quality of light come through. On top of the glass itself, you can get coatings and treatments to the glass with different effects. The first treatment is a simple tint. It's usually red. This helps counteract the blue color of the water, but in all honesty, the human eye tends to adjust itself anyway, so they've never been that exciting for me. Mirrored lenses are a bit more interesting. Depending on the style, mirrored lenses can help to reduce the glare from the bright sun on the surface and in shallow water. The downside to this is that other divers can't see your eyes, which if you're an instructor is a really bad thing. Students need to be able to see your eyes to stay nice and calm, and other divers need to be able to see your eyes in an incident. Anti-reflective lens coatings are very clever. They effectively let more light get through them for an even better experience in the water. Glass tends to reflect a certain amount of light on both sides of it, but these coatings actually stop that so that even more light can physically get through. A different coating is better in warmer climates though. You will see some with like 420 in the name of the coating or some kind of fancy name, and these will block a certain wavelength of light, so much like sunglasses, they block harmful UV rays from physically getting to your eyes. Around the glass lens, it needs to attach to the ceiling skirt, which means that you often need a frame. The frame is the backbone to a mask and holds each of the components together. Most mask frames are just plastic, some have some metal sections in them, and they'll have multiple parts that kind of pinch the lens and the skirt together. Now, most mask frames are permanent, so once they're assembled, you can't unassemble them without damaging them or without sort of special tools or techniques. Now, personally, I quite like a frame that can be disassembled so that I can clean the mask properly and get the things out of the little corners, sort of get them out properly, but it's not a deal breaker for me. Frameless masks are relatively new, and they do away with big bulky frames, and they bond the silicone directly onto the glass lens. Without the frame, the mask is a little bit smaller and doesn't block as much light around your eyes, but they do have a little less flare. If you want to be bright and colourful, then you'll need a frame. Frameless masks tend to be black or clear silicone, and that's about all the colour you'll get out of a frameless mask. You may find the odd one with a splash of coloured silicone, but they're pretty rare. The buckle of your mask will be fitted to either side of your mask, and they'll have a one-way ratchet system to tighten your mask strap. Buckles will either be attached to the frame of your mask directly, or they'll attach to your mask skirt. If they attach to your frame, they'll either be fixed, which can limit where your mask strap can fit comfortably on the back of your head, or they'll be on a hinge system, which of course allows the buckle to move a bit and pivot, so your mask strap can sit almost wherever you need it to. If your buckle's attached to the skirt, you'll find that the silicone material of the skirt lends a natural amount of flex, but be careful, because if you do pull them around a bit too much, you can actually split the silicone, so you do need to be a little bit more gentle with them. With a buckle that attaches to the skirt, the whole mask will fold down quite flat to pack away easier in a bag or in a thigh pocket as a spare mask. Adjusting your mask is usually fairly straightforward. To make it tighter, just pull on the loose tab and it will pull the strap through that ratchet. But when you need to lengthen the strap, there will be a button or a pair of buttons to open the mechanism, or you may need to lift some kind of tab. One of the best upgrades I've seen to a mask buckle in recent years is by Aqualung, and on some of their masks they have a slightly longer mask buckle that shrouds the buckle mechanism so that long hair doesn't get caught up inside so easily. Now personally, it's never been a huge problem for me, but if you do have longish hair, then the end of the dive can be a pain, as your hair is wrapped around the strap, and if you adjust it, it can pull your hair into the mechanism and get properly stuck. But with this protective shroud, it helps keep your hair out of that mechanism. The skirt is arguably the most important part of your mask, because it's the part that will be touching your face for long periods of time, and it will be keeping the water out. A good diver's mask will have a silicone skirt. Silicone is a nice material that has a certain strength and flexibility. Modern skirts should fit most faces quite well. Most skirts have this double seal on the inside for a really wide sealing surface, and the shape of each skirt is tailored now to fit most people anyway. But some skirts will have a name. If a mask skirt has a name, then it's going to seal better, because the manufacturer has spent time and money developing it. So you'll find names like Freedom or True Fit or Gummy Bear. They just mean that these seals have a bit more design made to make them a better seal, so the mask doesn't have to be on your head quite as tight to seal properly. A good fitting mask can sit on your face with minimal force, which means that you won't come back with a red ring around your face. As far as colours, most mask skirts are either clear and colourless, or they're black. You can now find some, a rare some, that have colours, but most just give you the choice of black or clear. Black is nice because it kind of focuses your vision and it never discolours over time. It also hides any nasties that start to grow inside your mask, which is a double-edged sword. Your mask looks nice for longer, but you don't actually know when it needs a good thorough clean. Clear skirts let a certain amount of light in around the sides, which makes some divers feel a little less claustrophobic, and it kind of increases your field of vision a bit. You can kind of see through it, so you can see the shadow of your buddy next to you. The only downsides is that over time that crystal clear silicone will turn a yellowish brown, and any mold growing inside the cracks of your mask will really start to stand out. The nose pocket is fairly important to take note of. Most nose pockets are a fairly decent size now, but new masks are tending to have larger nose pockets. You don't want it too large, but it does need to be comfortable, and underneath the nose, the sealing skirt is usually very, very thin to seal against your top lip. Either side of the nose pocket and over the temple and around your cheekbones, you'll sometimes find a little detail on the skirt that actually aid in grip. So when you're clearing your mask, or when you're sort of equalizing your ears, you have a little bit of extra grip. And if you dive in cold waters, you need to consider how much space you have to get gloved fingers either side of your nose if that's how you equalize. The strap that goes around behind your head has a surprising amount of design that goes into it. The first thing is that either side you'll see little notches on the strap. You'll either find big chunky notches or lots of little notches. Lots of little ones means that you can get the exact length, but big and chunky ones means that you have a more secure fit, so the strap is less likely to slip and lengthen. The back of the strap will have a wide section that either has two separate straps or a big kind of single panel to cradle the back of your head. I haven't noticed a huge difference between the two choices. They both tend to get the job done. You can always use a neoprene cover for the back of your strap, something like a strap wrap. These help stop your mask from sticking to your hair and kind of tangling it up. So if that's a pain for you, then a strap wrap is quite a nice accessory for your mask. If you need glasses or contact lenses to see properly, then you may need corrective lenses in the water. And I say may, because if your prescription isn't too severe, then the magnifying effect of the water may do the job for you. But if your prescription is a little bit stronger, then you do have a few options. The first option is stick-in lenses. These will either be adhesive lenses that stick to the inside of your mask lenses, or there'll be some kind of frame that physically sits inside of your mask. Your choice of prescriptions will usually be fairly limited and only correct the spherical part of your prescription. These are okay, but best for sort of bifocal style of corrective lenses. You see, the new lens won't cover the entire lens completely, so there will be lots of parts of your mask that you can't see perfectly through clearly. Another option is still fairly inexpensive, but is only available for a certain range of masks, where you can pop out the glass lenses and then swap them for a new glass lens. Similar deal with the stick-on lenses, they'll only correct the spherical, and they'll be available in sort of plus and minus strengths, kind of going up in half measures. Your best option is a custom lens to be ground. It's the most expensive choice, but if your prescription isn't quite straightforward, then it may be your only option. These companies are basically opticians who you send your mask and prescription to, and they physically make a new glass lens and stick that to the inside of your mask. They'll be the best, but it is an expensive option. If you usually wear contact lenses, then you may be tempted just to wear those underwater, but you do need to be careful. The first issue is that if water gets into your mask, then your lenses can just float out. That's actually the best case, because there are actually microscopic nasties in the water that can hide underneath your lens if it's still on your eye and multiply, and in some cases the ion balance of seawater can actually cause some contact lenses to fuse to your eyeball, which just sounds awful, so we don't recommend that you just wear your contact lenses. You'll see on a few masks that they boast about being low volume. What this basically means is that the airspace inside of the mask is very small compared to a standard mask. Low volume masks with minimal airspace have a few benefits for divers, the first being a reduction in the squeeze effect. As you descend and pressure increases around you, the volume will physically squeeze down and the mask will just suck onto your face. The bigger the airspace, the bigger the change, so a low volume mask will have less squeeze as you descend. This is why freedivers prefer them, because they can't waste breath breathing out of their nose to equalize their mask. But for scuba divers, it's not such an issue. Where scuba divers benefit is that with less airspace in front of their eyes, if their mask floods, it's less water that they need to clear, so it's a little bit faster. With less space between your eyes and the glass lens, it widens your field of view a bit because the frame isn't blocking as much of your view. Only most low volume masks have quite small lenses anyway to start with, so you can still have fairly limited views. That's why scuba divers tend to choose just a more standard size mask. Some masks are fitted with a one-way valve underneath your nose to clear any water inside it easily. These are very sort of rare now because the added bulk required outweighs the benefits when most people can quite easily clear water out of their mask. Just like the bottom of most snorkels, this little valve sort of has a one-way valve system that lets water out when you exhale through your nose, so it's a little bit easier to get water out. But the valve requires a frame around it, so you'll have extra structure around your nose, which makes it tricky but not impossible to pinch your nose, especially when you have a regulator in place. So if you struggle to equalize your ears without pinching your nose, it's worth avoiding these masks, to be honest. If you search for mask preparation online, you will find a swath of recommendations and techniques to prepare your mask. Brand new masks will fog up very easily, even if you use a defog treatment. Chemical release agents and other contaminants will find their way into the microscopic gaps inside the glass's surface, which help moisture to condense on the glass and create fog. You need to remove that. There are commercial mask treatments. You apply them to the inside of the glass lens and they draw out these contaminants, but be very, very careful if you have fancy lens coatings. So make sure that you ask the manufacturer what their recommendations are so that you don't damage your brand new mask. I quite like the toothpaste method, which is fairly similar, where you apply a small amount of toothpaste to the inside of the glass, wait for it to dry so that it can draw out all of those contaminants, wipe it off, dry it, and then repeat a few times, and your mask should be good to go. Just make sure that the toothpaste that you use doesn't have any fancy crystals or anything sort of abrasive that might damage your glass lens. Some use a lighter to burn these contaminants, but I've never been a fan of it. Too much chance to physically damage your mask, either by burning the silicone or affecting the actual tempering of the glass itself, which I just think is a little bit dangerous for your brand new investment. If you have a mask with plastic lenses like a full face mask, then don't use anything even mildly abrasive. Most full face masks don't need defog treatment anyway because they defog themselves by design, but the plastic itself will scratch in a moment, so be very, very careful and don't use anything if it doesn't require it. Most masks come in a box to protect it during storage and transport. They range from a very basic standard plastic box with a lid to kind of a clamshell design. The traditional design is quite tough, but it's bulky. They take up a fair amount of space in your kit bag, but they're quite strong. Clamshells are a more sensible size and don't take up very much space in your bag, but the hinge and the closing mechanism will break over time with the constant bending and flexing of the plastic. The best are bought mask cases, something that's made to last but not as bulky as a traditional box. It is important to protect your mask not just from scratches to the lens, but from twisting and bending too. Tempered glass is very strong, but twist it and it'll just shatter or just granulate. You need something to protect your mask from too much force being applied to it in any way. So there were masks. Your mask is really, really important. It's an important piece of kit that will just follow you throughout your entire career if you look after it. Most just need a good kind of rinse through with fresh water and keep them out of direct sunlight. But what mask are you looking at investing in? Personally, I use an Atomic Aquatics Venom frameless mask. It's a black skirted single lens mask. I like it for the sealing skirt and the big clear front lens. But let us know in the comments what you look for in a mask. Thank you for watching, and of course, safe diving.